Okay, good morning. We're going to get started here in just a couple of seconds. So if you're there and you feel like sharing, just say hello this morning. But if not, that's totally fine with me. So we're doing another rhythm practice today, another easy one. Let me get us all set up here. Okay, here we go. There I am. So good morning. Hello again. Hello, Rich. Good to see you again. Glad you could attend. So we'll get started. Let me get everything set up right. Yes, good morning to you as well. Okay, so today we were doing some more rhythm practice. So you remember from last time we were doing like 3/4 and 4/4 time signatures. So remember, the difference between those is that 4/4 obviously has 4 beats in a measure, and then 2/4 only has 2 beats in a measure. So before we get started, let me just check, make sure everything is working properly. You always got to check with your live streams. All right, great. It seems like everything's working great. If anything ever doesn't work, try to let me know. Sometimes even the chat is a little bit off. So let me move this aside. All right, here we go. So we're just going to start out in 4/4 today. I'm just going to write out a couple of rhythms. We'll talk about them, and then I'll introduce 2/4. So here we go. Okay, so you know my first question. It's always the first question. It is, do we have enough beats in this measure, or do we have too many? So let's check it out. So, we know the dotted half by now gets 3 beats. And then this one is going to get 4. And then remember with eighth notes, it's got to take up 2 halves of a beat. So 4 and then that one is actually too many. So the answer is too many. Too many beats there. Let me change that. There we go. And so there we go. So this measure is going to be counted as 1, 2, 3, 4, and just like that. Let's move on to the next one. Just checking back really quick. Looks like a few more people have joined us. Welcome. Good to have you. Okay, let's do another rhythm. Maybe something a little bit more complicated that we kind of talked about yesterday. So question, do we have the proper amount of beats for that measure? I'll let you think about it for just a second. And the answer is, let's check it out. So you got beat 1 there. Now is this beat 2 with the quarter note? Oops, sorry. Beat 2? Question mark? There you go. No, that's actually going to be beat and, right? That's the second half of beat 1. So remember that the eighth note only takes up 1/2 of a beat. So the second half of that beat has to be on that quarter note. So is the quarter note only going to take up and? No, if you remember from yesterday, it has to take up and 2 because it has to take up 2 halves of a beat. So remember that when we're counting 1 and 2 and 3 and, each of those represents only half of a beat. And then what about here? Well, this is the and of 2, right? So now we have 1 and 2 and then it looks like this is beat 3. So we're missing about 1.5 beats because we only have the first half of beat 3. And actually when I draw the rest of the rhythms, I'll have to redraw the beats since it shifts over. So let me do it this way. Look better. There you go. Let me see. 2, 3, and so we're getting there. 4. There we go. One more. Now, that's a really strange looking rhythm, but hey, you never know what you may run into. So now do we have the correct amount of beats? Well, let's check it out. So we have 3 quarter notes. I can see that right away. So that's 3. And then actually we have too many beats now. So let me erase. So how many beats do we have to erase? Well, let's take a look. So we have 3 beats, the quarter notes, right here, here, and here. So there's 3 beats there. There's 2 eighth notes there. So that's 4. So it looks like we have one beat too many. So let's erase maybe a quarter note and then see how it works out. So let's chart this out. We have 1, and this will be and 2, right? Because that's got to take up the 2 halves like we talked about. There's the and. There's beat 3. Is this one 4? Oops. Nope. It's actually going to be and, because remember we have an 8th note here. 8th note only takes up half of a beat. So you have to have and 2, or not and 2. I'm used to having that. And 4, and then our last beat here is and. So here we go. Let me try this a few times because it's such a weird, very strange rhythm. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So there we go. That's how we chart out that one, trying to do things a little more complicated than before. Let me just check back with the chat, see how everybody is doing this morning. So hopefully everybody is still hanging in there. It looks like the stream is doing well, so I like to see that, obviously. Okay, here we go. Let me try another one. Okay, so the first question is, do we have the correct amount of beats in this measure? I'll let you think about it for just a second. So let's chart it out. We got 1 and 2. We know that by now. That's the same rhythm we had before. And then here's and, second half of beat 2. And here's 3, 4. And then I guess if you wanted to be technical about it, technically it takes up 3 and 4 and, since it has to take up, both halves of those beats. So here's how we're going to count this one. But we have to be careful. I forgot to point out that we have a tie now. So we're tying together and 2 and. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Keep in mind that when you're counting quarter notes, they got to be twice as slow as eighth notes. So like I mentioned last night, or yesterday, I guess, that when you're counting a measure out, you might want to start out just counting it as quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then try dividing that. We call that subdividing into eighth notes. So that would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, just like that. So you just got to be careful that whatever you count the eighth notes as, they're twice as fast as your quarter notes. Okay, let's introduce 2/4 now. So let me change our time signature. Okay, there we go. So what's the difference? Let me move that over. There we go. Bing, 2/4. What is the difference here? Well, remember with 4/4, we had 4 beats between each of those in those boxes, the measures they call them. 3/4, we had 3 of them, and now 2/4, we only have 2. So really what it's telling you is that we have 2 quarter notes in a measure, or equivalent. We could actually have 1 half note, we could have 4 eighth notes, whatever equals 2 quarter notes. So here we go. We'll try a few of these. So how do we count this measure? Well, it's pretty easy, right? I wanted to start out with an easy one. 1, 2, right? 1, 2. Let's do a more difficult one here. Okay, now we have 2 eighth notes and then a quarter note. So what is that going to be? Well, that's going to be 1 and 2. Still pretty easy. 1 and 2. Oops. Does not want to do it. Now, how do I count this measure? Well, I have too many beats, right? Because we have, let me move that red line over. We have 1, 2, and then 3. We can't have 3. It only goes up to 2. So that's one thing we'll have to be careful of, is that it only goes up to the number 2. So we're going to erase this last one. So just going to count 1, 2. Pretty easy. Here we go. Let me check back real quick. Okay, looks like everybody's doing great. So here we go. So how do we count this measure? Well, we have beat 1. This one's going to take up and 2, and then and. Keep in mind that we have to tie together the last 3 halves of those beats. So you have 1 and 2 and. Again, 1 and 2 and. Just like that, pretty easy. We're going to do one more for today, and then we'll talk about maybe what we'll do next time. Whoops. It's really hard to make complicated rhythms in 2/4 because there's only so many beats to work with. So how are we going to do this one? Well, it's pretty easy, right? We got 1 and 2 and. Keep in mind we're tying together and 2. So here we go. We're just going to go 1 and 2 and. Just like that. So this is the last example we'll do for today. We'll eventually start doing a little bit more complicated things. But the next time we'll meet again, it'll be another rhythm lesson, and then eventually we'll start adding in some different kinds of lessons. But next rhythm lesson, let's see, today's Wednesday. I could probably do one tomorrow evening at around 8 p.m. or so. So yeah, the next stream will be Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so be sure to check it out. If you learned something in this lesson or you feel like it was a good review, leave a thumbs up. Let other people know that this is a quality lesson that you liked, and subscribe to get all these updates, since I will be putting these out quite often, and I like to create a little community here. So it's wonderful having you here with us. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, have a great day. And then, if you ever get a chance, head over to my website, LessonsOnTheWeb.com. So I'm just going to hang out for a little bit, see if there are any questions. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to be ending it here. Thank you so much for attending, and have a great day. I'll see you hopefully in the next stream. Thank you.